Listen to me, really listen to me when I say this. You might be doubting it right now. You might be in a place that feels dark, that feels like no one gets you, like no one's watching, like no one gives a damn. But I'm telling you, straight up, no fluff. God is always with you, and I'm not talking about religion. I'm not talking about Sunday service or what your grandmother told you. I'm talking about something way deeper. I'm talking about presence. I'm talking about the quiet voice that shows up when the world goes silent. That little spark in your gut that whispers, keep going. That's not random. That's not imaginary. That's not nonsense. That's God, and He's always been with you. You might be looking at your life like it's a mess right now. You're thinking, why me? Why now? Why this? And I'll tell you, because you're not supposed to coast through this. You're supposed to grow, you're supposed to push, you're supposed to break through, and guess what? God didn't bail on you. He's right in the middle of that storm with you. You just stopped listening. You've been too busy trying to impress people who don't care, too busy measuring yourself against someone else's highlight reel, and in all that noise, you forgot that there's a purpose to your pain. There's guidance in your confusion, there's truth in your struggle, and the thing is, you don't need to see him to feel him. He doesn't need to drop a billboard on the freeway for you to know he's watching. You just need to shut out the noise, block out the fear, and tap into that fire inside you that never died. It dimmed, sure, but it's still burning, and it burns because he's still here. Let me ask you this, how many times have you almost quit? How many times have you hit the wall and said, I'm done, but something pulled you back? You thought it was coincidence. You thought it was luck. It wasn't. That was him. That was your reminder. You still matter. You've got to get real honest with yourself. Most of you are walking around carrying shame that doesn't belong to you, carrying guilt from mistakes that were supposed to teach you, not define you. You're angry at yourself for things that made you stronger. You think God left you because you failed. That's not how this works. If anything, he showed up harder when you fell. Some of you keep trying to control everything. Control is an illusion. You're not in charge of how the world spins, but you are in charge of how you show up in it. You can either drown in your fear, or you can move anyway, with shaky knees, with tears in your eyes, with scars on your back. You move anyway. That's faith, and don't get it twisted. Faith is not pretending everything is perfect. Faith is saying, even if it's all falling apart, I know I'm not alone. I know I'm still guided. I know there's a way through this. That's what winners do. That's what leaders do. That's what you were meant to do. Look, the world's loud. It's fast. It's full of highlight reels, filters, fake validation. People are chasing followers like their soul depends on it, but they forgot the one who followed them from day one. God's not on TikTok. He's not counting your likes. He's watching your heart. And the problem is, too many of you have buried that heart under expectations that don't belong to you. You think you're behind. Who told you that? Based on whose timeline? You're exactly where you're supposed to be, this moment right now. Yeah, the one you hate is shaping something in you that you'll need later. You don't see it yet. That's fine. You're not supposed to see it. You're supposed to trust it. You want to be free. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for someone to come save you. You were already saved. You were already chosen. You were already enough. The second you realize God's been in the room the whole time, the game changes. Let me tell you something about pain. It's a GPS. Pain points you to where the healing needs to happen, where the growth needs to start, and every time you try to numb it, avoid it, hide it, you're running from the breakthrough. But if you lean into it, if you sit with it, if you trust that God is using it, everything shifts. You are not your bank account. You are not your mistakes. You are not your trauma. You are not your follower count. You are not who they said you were in high school. You are not who they labeled you when you were down. You are who God says you are, and that means you are more than enough. Let that sink in. You're enough right now, not when you get the degree, not when you drop the weight, not when you get the dream job or buy the car or fix the relationship. Now, today, with all the mess, with all the imperfection, with all the unknowns, God didn't put conditions on his presence. He's with you because he chose you. You don't have to audition, so stop playing small. Stop walking around like you're an accident. You were built on purpose for purpose, and if you're still breathing, that means you've still got work to do. That means someone still needs your voice. Someone still needs your gift. Someone still needs you, and I get it. You've been disappointed. You prayed and it didn't work out. You gave your all and it still fell apart. But maybe it fell apart so you could finally stop leaning on things that were never strong enough to hold you. Maybe it broke so you could finally rebuild it with truth. Maybe that loss wasn't rejection. It was redirection. You've got to stop bargaining with your worth. You've got to stop asking for signs when you already know the answer. You've got to stop doubting the divine inside you. It's there and it's loud. You've just been afraid to trust it. But I'm telling you, no, I'm begging you, trust it. Lean into that whisper. Follow that pull. Chase that crazy dream, start the thing, end the toxic relationship, heal the old wound, whatever it is, just start, and when the fear creeps in, and it will remember, you are not doing this alone, because God is with you. In the dark, in the doubt, in the heartbreak, in the celebration, in the silence, in the chaos, He's there, and He always has been, and the second you stop trying to do it all alone, the second you say, all right, I don't know how, but I trust you, that's when everything starts to move. You're not broken, you're breaking through, you're not lost, you're learning the map, you're not alone, you're being led, so don't quit, don't shrink, don't apologize for your calling, stand up, speak out. Go get it, because the truth is, if you really understood who's walking with you, you'd stop playing like you're still trying to earn it. You're already chosen, act like it. Let's keep going, because I know someone out there needs to hear this. Maybe you're sitting in your room right now, phone in your hand, heart full of anxiety, wondering if any of this even matters. And I need you to get this deep in your bones. You didn't come this far to quit. You didn't survive what you've survived just to live half alive. You didn't get dragged through the mud, through the trauma, through the betrayal, through the silence, just to settle. That's not what this is. You've got to shift your perspective. Too many people are out here looking at their past like it's a prison. No, your past is proof. Proof you've already made it through what was meant to destroy you. Proof that God didn't just show up when things were good. He was there when you had nothing, when your back was against the wall, when you were crying on the floor at 2 a.m. and nobody knew. You didn't lift yourself out of that. Someone was carrying you, and now you're here, you're breathing. You've still got fight in you. You've still got choice. That's power. Stop waiting to feel ready. Nobody ever feels ready when it matters. Readiness is a lie we tell ourselves so we can stay comfortable. Faith doesn't wait for comfort. Faith moves. Faith risks. Faith says, I might fall flat on my face, but I'm still going. And you will fall. Let's not pretend this is a fairy tale. You're gonna mess up. You're gonna get it wrong. People will misunderstand you. They'll judge you, mock you, ignore you. Good, that's part of it. You think having faith means having fans. Nah, having faith means you're gonna walk roads most people avoid because they don't want to look crazy. But guess what? The people who look crazy are the ones who change the world. They're the ones who know they're being guided, even when they can't explain it. And it's not just about grinding either. Let's kill that myth right now. This isn't about hustle culture or burning yourself out for validation. This is about alignment. This is about understanding that when you walk with purpose, with intention, with conviction, God multiplies your steps. He amplifies your impact. Doors you couldn't force open if you tried suddenly swing wide because you had the guts to keep walking. So don't let a bad month convince you that it's a bad life. Don't let rejection become your identity. Don't let comparison rob you of the mission that was handcrafted for you. That's what's wild to me. So many people are out here copying, mimicking, chasing trends when you were built to lead. You were built to be different. You're over here trying to blend in when God made you to stand out, but here's the twist. Standing out costs something. You'll lose people, you'll lose comfort, you'll lose the illusion of control, but what you gain? Peace, purpose, clarity, and a fire in your chest that can't be put out by likes or money or approval, and you can't manufacture that, you can't fake that. People know energy doesn't lie when you're tapped into the truth, your truth, not someone else's. They feel it. They lean in, they remember you because you're not performing, you're not begging, you're not flexing, you're just being, fully, unapologetically, soul on fire being. And when that happens, when you start living like you actually believe God's with you, oh man, it gets dangerous. You stop settling, you stop playing safe, you stop watering yourself down to make other people feel comfortable. You walk into rooms and own your space, not out of arrogance, but out of awareness. Awareness that the same power that created stars decided the world needed you and didn't make a mistake. So start acting like you belong here, not tomorrow, not after you get your life together, now. Right now, with the flaws, with the mess, with the uncertainty. Stop overthinking it. Stop questioning whether you're worthy. You are. You've always been. Let them talk. Let them doubt. Let them watch. Because what's coming for you when you finally lock in, when you finally trust that you're backed by something bigger than any algorithm, any opinion, any trend, it's gonna blow their minds. Not because you're better than them, but because you believed when it didn't make sense. You moved when it wasn't safe. You showed up when no one was clapping. And that's the difference between people who stay stuck and people who shift history. Belief, not the easy kind, the hard kind, the kind that stares down fear and still takes the step, the kind that says, even if I fail, I'll rise again, even if they leave, I won't lose myself, even if I fall apart, I know who's holding the pieces, because God is not fragile. He's not nervous about your doubts, he's not pacing when you mess up, he's not checking a spreadsheet of your mistakes, he's rooting for you, championing you, lifting you, and when you finally let him, when you stop trying to fix everything by yourself, that's when you start living. So please, hear me on this. You are not invisible. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You are not disqualified. You are not forgotten. You are not average. You are not your past. You are not your failure. You are you, and you, exactly as you are covered, chosen, guided, empowered. So here's where it gets real. Like real, because the second you start to believe this, to really own it, the world starts to push back. Not because you're wrong, but because you're finally becoming undeniable. The moment you start walking in alignment with who you actually are, with who God designed you to be, expect resistance, expect confusion. Expect people to look at you sideways because they're still stuck in fear while you've decided to trust fire. Let them be uncomfortable. You're not here to make everyone comfortable. You're not here to make sense to people who never bothered to understand themselves. You're here to break cycles. You're here to rise above the noise. You're here to do things that haven't been done before in your family, in your circle, in your story. And do you think that kind of calling comes without weight? Without struggle, without being misunderstood? Come on, you were built for this, not just emotionally, spiritually. You've been given a spirit that can't be crushed unless you hand over the keys. And you've been handing over those keys too easily. To doubt, to fear, to opinions that don't matter, to old versions of yourself that no longer serve you. Rip those keys back. Take back ownership of your life, of your mind, of your mission. You're not here to survive on autopilot. You're here to thrive on purpose, but it's a decision every day to choose belief over panic, to choose grace over shame, to choose presence over distraction. You don't drift into purpose. You decide into purpose. And the more you decide it, the more you walk in it, the more the path clears, the right people show up, the doors start cracking open, the things that didn't make sense start clicking, not because life gets easy, but because your vision gets clear. And you've got to protect that vision like your life depends on it, because it does. Stop wasting hours watching people live lives that aren't yours. Stop waiting for someone to give you permission to go be powerful. Stop editing your truth just to fit into someone else's comfort zone. You're not here to dim. You're here to light the place up. But hear me, light doesn't apologize for being light. It doesn't shrink in darkness. It breaks it, and that's you, that's your role. You think all the pain you went through was just for character building. Nah, it was because someone else is gonna need your survival story to believe they can survive too. That's leadership, not titles, not clout, not image, impact. You want to change your life. Cool. Start by changing your perspective. Start by reminding yourself every single morning that if you're awake, it's on purpose. If you've got breath in your lungs, you've got another shot to show up, to learn, to get better, to forgive, to build, to create, to love, to fight, to finish what you started. And if God didn't want you in this moment, you wouldn't be in it. Period. There is no accident here. There is only alignment or avoidance. That's it. And too many of you are avoiding what you were born to do because you're scared of how heavy it feels, of how lonely it looks. But let me tell you something. Purpose might feel heavy at times, but regret is heavier. And at the end of your life, you're not gonna be wishing you had more likes. You're gonna be wishing you'd moved sooner. Spoken louder, loved harder, trusted deeper, and stopped waiting for things to feel safe. Because safety doesn't lead to legacy. Safety leads to average, and you were not designed to be average. You were designed to stretch. To expand, to shock people with how much resilience and grace can exist in one human being. But that doesn't happen unless you stop holding back. You know what's wild. You already know what you need to do. Most people do. Deep down they know, but they've got so many layers of fear and programming and lies stacked on top that they've forgotten. But it's still there, that truth, that gut pull, that inner fire that says, this isn't it, there's more. That voice is God. That nudge is real. That's the blueprint. But instead of following it, you keep asking for signs. You keep stalling. You keep waiting for clarity that only shows up after movement. That's the cheat code. Clarity doesn't come before the action. It comes after the risk, after the leap, after the uncomfortable conversation, after the scary launch, after the release of control. And that's the part nobody wants to hear, because we've been conditioned to wait for certainty. But faith, real raw ground shaking faith, is about moving before it makes sense. It's about trusting that if God gave you the vision, He's already lined up the provision. You just have to be bold enough to go after it without all the details. So this is your moment, your reset, your wake-up call. You don't need more time. You need more trust. You don't need another strategy. You need surrender. You don't need more outside validation. You need inner alignment, because when you're aligned, you're unstoppable, not because you're perfect, not because it's easy, but because you're not alone. And listen, alignment doesn't mean everything around you suddenly becomes sunshine and roses. That's not what I'm saying. In fact, when you get aligned, when you really start locking into who you are and what you're here to do, sometimes all hell breaks loose. People start falling away. Situations that looked solid start shaking. Things you thought were permanent suddenly collapse, and it'll freak you out until you realize it's not destruction, it's clearing. Because sometimes God's got to tear down what was built on fear to make room for what's built on faith. You can't take old scaffolding into a new structure. You can't carry dead weight into the next chapter. And that's hard, that's painful, that's confusing, but it's necessary. It's necessary so you can become light enough to fly. And that's the thing. Most of the limitations on your life right now aren't from other people. They're from you, from the stories you keep telling yourself, from the labels you keep wearing, from the scripts that got handed to you when you were a kid and you never thought to question them. But guess what? You can rewrite the script. You can burn the old playbook. You can wake up today and decide to live different. You can say, I'm done repeating patterns that don't belong to me. I'm done shrinking for comfort. I'm done making myself small just so other people feel big. That's not confidence, that's calling, and when calling kicks in, you can't go back, not comfortably, not for long, because your soul knows when it's settling, your heart knows when you're faking it, and the moment you stop pretending is the moment you start living. You think you need more time, you don't, you need permission, and I'm telling you, you already have it. You were wired for this, you were equipped for this, you were assigned to this, and you can stop asking people for permission to live out what God already said yes to. You know what else you need? Grit. Not just the kind of grit that shows up on grind culture posters, real grit. The kind that lets you walk back into a room where you failed and try again. The kind that says, I'll look stupid if I have to, but I will not quit. The kind that faces fear and doesn't deny it, but doesn't bow to it either. Fear is gonna talk, let it. Doubt is gonna whisper, let it. People are gonna laugh, let them. But while they're busy watching, you're building. While they're scrolling, you're becoming. While they're waiting for validation, you're stepping into purpose. And one day, they'll look back and realize the thing they mocked was a miracle in motion. But you've got to be okay with the middle, that ugly, awkward, blurry middle, the part no one claps for, the part where you're not where you used to be, but you're not where you're going either. That middle space where everything feels confusing, but something inside you says, don't stop here. That voice, again, that's him, that's the reminder, that's the thread pulling you forward when logic says quit. And what's wild is that when you push through that space, when you keep showing up even when it's messy, even when it's quiet, even when nothing looks like it's working, you build something most people never touch, unshakable faith. Not the kind that's handed to you in a meme, the kind you earn in the fire, the kind that says, even if no one believes in me, I know I'm not walking this alone. You stop negotiating with your calling. You stop trying to get a discount on your destiny. You stop trying to earn the right to be here. You already earned it by breathing, by surviving, by staying. You think you were just here to exist. No. You're here to disrupt, to challenge, to create, to change things, but it only works if you believe it. Not once, not just on your good days, every day, even when it feels like nothing's moving, even when it feels like everyone's ahead of you. Even when it feels like your best isn't enough. You believe anyway, you walk anyway, you speak anyway, you show up anyway, and the more you do that, the more powerful you become. Because confidence doesn't come from waiting. It comes from moving. It comes from doing the hard thing again and again until your fear shrinks to fit your faith, and you look around one day and realize you're not scared anymore. You're certain, not because the world changed, but because you did. You made it this far, not by accident, not because you got lucky, but because there's something burning inside you that refuses to die. And the more you lean into it, the more you stop running from who you are and start rising in who you're becoming, the more unstoppable you get. This whole time, all the battles, all the silence, all the moments you thought were breaking you, they were building you, building something in you that the world can't take, that no failure can erase, that no loss can bury. You've been backed from the beginning, not by followers, not by hype, by something far bigger, that presence. It's always been there, always will be. So now the question isn't whether you're ready. The question is, are you done doubting? Because everything changes the moment you are.